Well, under sunny summer skies in Chicago, it's time for another game of Speediball, the brand new sport where the goal is to run the ball in between those two cans you see of the opposing team for 2 points, or shoot it into either can for one. And this is a fast start. Connie to Oscar for a score. Let's see that again. As you can see here on replay, it starts here in the middle of the field with big number 4 air dribbling to avoid a tag when touched, and he throws it right up and over Corey, and there's Oscar waiting to backpedal across the line for 2 points. So now the Bees have the lead, but the Blues have the ball. They're moving down the field, left to right. Corey, Davis, Kenyon. Now Corey has the ball, and he was tagged right there by Connie, and yes, that's his name. And a tag is if you're running with the ball without dribbling, either ground dribbling or air dribbling, and you're touched, that's an immediate turnover to the other team. So it's just like tag when you were kids, all right? And it's a turnover. But if you're dribbling like Corey is right here, he's going through all the moves, and he's touched, that's not a turnover. The opponent actually has to take control of the ball. And here you're going to see just some great movement by the Blues. They haven't scored yet, but they are moving in that direction, and now they score. Kenyon with the 2-point liner. As you see, Kenyon circled there in the middle of the field. He has the ball. He gives it to Corey, then breaks toward the lining cans and gets the ball back and scores. Just a great fundamental play of Speediball, and now it's 2-2, Blues and Bees. It looks like we're in for a good one here. I'm not going to take you back for yet another rewind, but I just wanted you to notice how the team that was just scored on, the Bees, started with the ball behind their 2 cans. That's a key rule also, that the team that was scored on must start behind their cans. It's not always done, maybe as it should be. You might notice instances in this game where it's not done, but it is always supposed to be done. So just so you know that, for hopefully playing your own games. And here on the other end, it looks like Oscar scores, but he doesn't really score because the ball bounces. So if the ball touches the ground, it must be dribbled. It has to be dribbled. That could be ground dribbling or air dribbling, and you've seen instances of both in this game. However, you can't score off a dribble. So in order to score, you'd have to catch a ball in the air, then you can score with it. Like right here, Kenyon catches the ball in the air off a pass from Davis, but now it's batted down to the ground. So right there, Kenneth, or right here, Oscar, all he can do is dribble the ball, right? And so even if he's wide open in front of the goal, he cannot score off a dribble across the line. Now, at least in games of 1v1 to say 5v5, and this is a game of 3v3, so it applies, players could dribble across the line with the ball. It just doesn't count as points. And here we see a masterful dribble, and then Connor to Oscar again for the 2-point liner. That's the second time we've seen that combination for 4 points for the Bees. And here at the other end, Corey's just going to take off, and he'll score for 2 points. Just back and forth like basketball, and then the restart. Let's see if they can do it again here for the yellow. But no, off the hands of Connie. But Kenneth will chase it down, and he'll try to calm it down in this game. Whoo, take a breath. There's the air dribble again, and oh boy, he's got a lot to say to the camera after that, and why not? I mean, he's got 2 assists already in this game, and whoa, look at the spin move. Ow, look at that. Tell me that those aren't some crazy skills. Wow. And then at the other end, you see Oscar is finally stopped at the goal line. It's like, when were they going to stop this guy? And they stopped him right there. I think what we just saw in the last minute or so here could stand up to any action in any other sport. Basketball, football, soccer, lacrosse, hockey, anything. You bring it, we'll match it here in Speediball. Now notice how well Davis, the little guy over here, is dribbling the ball. Now he's batting it between the hands. You can also just bounce it off one hand. However, what you may not do is you may not just catch the ball at the hand and then throw it up. And catch it and throw it up. That is called a catch dribble, and that is not legal because you need to have a ping pong like motion of the ball into the air. So basically, as soon as it hits your hand, it should be going back up again. So it's like you're dribbling it into the ground, but you're dribbling it up into the air. If you are caught catch dribbling it, that's an immediate turnover of the ball to the other team as though it were a tag, because that gives you way too much of an advantage when air dribbling. You need to be doing right here what Corey is doing. So to explain this the best way I can, no gripping or grasping of the ball like you're holding it and then throwing it up. you need to have it just sort of bounce up off your hand like an open hand, like with your fist or with your hand, but an open hand type of thing right here. If you watch Corey, I mean, he seems to be a master of it. On the other side, Connie, him too, he seems to be a master. There's plenty of flash and flair in this sport, because who wants to watch a sport without that? I think that's one of the trademarks of a sport, is it has to be exciting to watch. And here's Kenyon, and he scores across the line. Whoa! Or was it a score? Let's take a look. It's a close call. If you look at it again on replay, it looks like he may have probably been contacted before he got the ball down on the other side of the cans. The rule is that the whole of the ball must cross the whole of the goal line, which is the line between the cans, which is somewhat imaginary right now because there's not actually a white line like there would be when it's played on a football field, a gridiron as football field as it should be. So we'll give him the 2 points right there for the Blues. And on the other side, it looks like Oscar scores, but it's sort of like a bang play here too, as he was possibly contacted, but we'll give them the 2 points now, so that it is now 6-6 Blues and Bees. It's the same thing here as at the other end. It looks like he probably didn't get the whole way across before he was tagged there by Corey, like the whole of the ball didn't cross the whole of the goal line. But both sides have now gotten favorable calls. It's 6-6. Now, with official games at the high school, college, or pro level, as we expect to get to someday with this game, you would definitely have refs huddling to try to figure it out, and also going to camera replays, the booth, whatever they have under their control to get the call 100% right. Here on the other end, you saw Corey there calling out plays almost like a point guard. So you see that this sport can definitely go full speed, fast break, but then it can also just settle down and be like football plays where you're drawing it up and you're running out in offense. So it's sort of the best of both worlds. And there on the other end, Kenneth makes a great catch as Corey was trying to take the ball away, and the Blues have it back though off the takeaway. And oh, he got him! He got him right before he threw the ball across the line to Kenyon. It didn't even matter that throw because Kenneth tagged Corey. It's yet another tag for the Bees. Now from here on out, I'm not going to lie, the field does look a little unfair because it is. I mean, it's 4 blue against 3 Bees. We did that because we needed someone to hold the camera, and we only had 8 people, so you do the math. But we wanted to show how it would look like with 4 players on one side, because as of yet we had never had a 4v4 game, which we'll get to that later in the video. But for now, it's 4v3, so obviously there's an advantage to the Blues. So does the rest of this even count? I don't know, but it's all about trial and showcasing the sport as we're able to play it. So just see how the sport moves and grooves, and don't necessarily worry about the player count, because it's about seeing the sport in action and people understanding how it works. As right here, he was tagged. Aaron was tagged. Watch the tag again here, frozen in time. I went to highlight it because this same scenario happened earlier in the game where the player was tagged before getting rid of it. So even though they did end up getting rid of the ball, it's still a tag because they were still holding it when they were tagged. So, tag. All right, here we go. This is the first ever 4v4 game. We were able to stop someone to hold the camera so that all 8 of us could play. So this is technically like a whole new ball game, but I'm leaving it on here at the end so you can see the differences between 6 players versus 8 players and just how the field technically shrinks a little bit. As we saw yet another dive for the goal line back there, like a running back in football. However, that wasn't a score. He was tagged at the goal line. However, plenty of excitement at the goal line in this sport, just like you'd like it, right? I'm going to use the time that I have left in this game to talk about the sport as a whole. It's a fun, exciting sport that still has the skills and strategies to be a high-level, top-quality sport, while being simplistic enough to just be playing it for leisure in the backyard with your friends, while being complex enough to be a competitive high school, college, and pro level sport, which we're trying to get it to, and all that just melds and blends it into what could potentially be the sport of the future. Let's play. Now here come the real life stats from this game. We didn't see a shot into the can, which is worth 1 point and called a canner in this game, but it's okay.